That was quite a good lesson Xiao Yan gave Feng Qing'er. She wanted to kill him and blamed him for all the problems connected with the origin fruit. But we know well that their enmity had been going on for a very long time, ever since the events of the Wind and Lightning Pavilion. Now that Xiao Yan had reached the 9th star of Dozun, he had become much stronger. That was his own power. Feng Qing'er, on the other hand, received an immense force from the outside, which she could not control. She would never be able to reach the level of half-Saint Bansheng or beyond. That slap was exactly what was needed. Although in the original, their battle was a little longer. Xiao Yan's strike literally knocked Feng Qing'er out and even left a palm print on her face. In the series, this was simplified. By the way, did you notice that Xiao Yan's Dozun ring had slightly changed? They added fiery effects, which made it look much more interesting. Also, before we continue, I would like to ask you to give this video a like, write a comment, and subscribe to the channel. This is very important for supporting the video. So, Xiao Yan, together with his companions and the Gu clan group, continued their journey toward the Bodhi tree. Breaking through the army of beasts was not easy, since there were quite a few of them at the Dozun level. Finally, upon reaching the Bodhisattva tree, Xiao Yan and all the present groups were astonished. The tree itself was impressive with its energy, but it concealed unseen danger. The next trial turned out to be a battle against 5 puppets at the half-Saint Bansheng level. 5 half-saints. These 5 figures turned out to be half-saints, but they had no life. Xiao Yan inhaled deeply. Sweeping his eyes across the 5 figures, he realized, they are merely puppets. Puppets. It did not take much to understand that these half-saints had been turned into dolls by the ancient Bodhisattva tree. When many thought about this, cold sweat broke out on their backs. To turn a half-saint into a puppet. Who on the continent possessed such terrifying power? General Gu Qingyang asked, "What should we do now?" 5 half-saints was a lineup that could only be described as terrifying. Xiao Yan looked at the Bodhisattva heart. He could not give it up. We must be able to withstand these half-saints if our group unites. Suner was at the 8th stage, while Gu Qingyang was at the 6th stage of the 9-star Dozun. Adding Xiao Yan, whose strength was between the 6th and 7th stage, as well as Kai Lin, Xiao Yixian, Yun Yun, Qing Cheng, Gu Hua, Gu Li, and the others, they should be able to handle one half-saint. However, there were not just one before them. There were 5. Therefore, Xiao Yan looked at the other groups. There were 7 groups in total. Each had at least 2 experts who had reached the peak of the Dozun level. If Xiao Yan's group held off one puppet, the other 4 would be divided among them. Among those present were groups from the Hun clan and the Heavenly Phoenix tribe. Nobody objected, since their goal was shared. Attack! Xiao Yan shouted. This was his first time fighting a living half-saint. Even though the combat power of these puppets could not be compared to a real half-saint, they were still experts at the saint level. Do Qi surged within his body. The 5 empty pairs of puppet eyes instantly focused on Xiao Yan. Without words, a terrifyingly powerful palm strike came flying at him, tearing through space at lightning speed. Xiao Yan stomped his foot, and a massive lava pillar erupted from the ground. It was strong enough to force back a 9-star Dozun, but against the half-saint it only made it slightly tremble. More than 10 powerful Do Qi pillars shot out from Xiao Yan's back, all striking the puppet. With so many combined attacks, even a genuine half-saint would not dare to accept them all directly. Xiao Yan's group began exchanging blows with one puppet. The Hun clan group did not stay behind either. With cold shouts, many figures charged forward and surrounded another puppet. The other groups also began moving after Xiao Yan. They released their Do Qi to the limit and surrounded the remaining 3 puppets. Although Xiao Yan and the others had a numerical advantage, their opponents were still at the half-saint level, even if they were only puppets. Xiao Yan, General Gu Qingyang, Gu Suner, Queen Medusa, and the other experts managed to firmly suppress one puppet. Xiao Yan shouted loudly to strike its head. As an expert on puppets, he knew that their bodies were lifeless. If their heads were not destroyed, they would not truly be eliminated. Glazed giant body. 8-fold explosion. Golden light erupted from Xiao Yan's body as he grew in size. His iron-like fist, moving with lightning speed, smashed at the puppet's head. The tremendous force of Xiao Yan's strike created cracks across its head. At that very moment, the puppet struck Xiao Yan's giant shoulder. The impact forced Xiao Yan back more than 10 steps. Even a dent appeared on his shoulder. But his body had become extremely resilient after activating the glazed giant body. Furthermore, he was protected by the Queen of Insects barrier and the ancient Dragon Phoenix armor. These factors allowed him to withstand a blow of half-saint level power. To think Xiao Yan could already endure such an attack while still at the 9-star Do Zun level. Then Gu Suner and General Gu Qingyang stepped in, attacking together, Great Finger of Destructive Stillness. The two of them unleashed this heaven-class Do Qi technique. Two massive energy fingers appeared in the sky. Boom. At that moment, thunderous multicolored bolts seemed to gather in the heavens. Kai Lin unleashed this lightning-fast strike. Everyone attacked at once. Numerous terrifying strikes landed on the puppet's head. Its body trembled. With so many cracks already inflicted by Xiao Yan's strike, its head exploded and instantly vanished. It disintegrated into pale flesh and bone fragments. When the head exploded, the puppet slowly froze. From its broken neck spread a strange pulsation. As the energy vanished, the puppet's body began to age rapidly before everyone's eyes, finally turning into dust and scattering. Xiao Yan let out a sigh of relief. His body quickly shrank back to its original size. Except for Xiao Yan and Gu Suner, everyone had sustained injuries. Even General Gu Qingyang was slightly wounded during the clash with the puppet. It was far too difficult to deal with, Xiao Yan said as he took out healing pills and handed them to his team. After a short rest and recovery of their Do Qi, they turned their attention to the other battlefields. The other groups were not faring so well. Even the Soul Hall experts from Han Yu's group were lying on the ground from a puppet's attack. But their victory was only a matter of time. The Heavenly Phoenix tribe group also had injured and even dead, though the wounds were not fatal, and they still held on. They too managed to slow down their puppet. Would Xiao Yan help them? No, there was no time for kindness. All these people were competitors. Once the puppets were dealt with, they could very well turn around and attack those who had just aided them. Gu Suner nodded in agreement. She understood this clearly as well. If they intervened to help, those very same people might later ambush them. It was not the time to show mercy. That legendary Bodhisattva heart. Xiao Yan shifted his gaze from the battlefield to the ancient Bodhisattva tree. Rays of light spread thousands of meters from the tree, filled with an astonishing life force. But it was extremely dangerous. These puppets had once been real half-saints Bansheng, and yet even they ended up as its dolls. The most difficult thing now was not to fall under the influence of the Bodhisattva tree, since no one knew what tricks it concealed. Therefore, Xiao Yan ordered that anyone who had not reached 6-star Do Zun should remain behind. Xiao Yan and Gu Suner's group were the first to move toward the ancient Bodhisattva tree. At the same time, the Han Clan and Heavenly Phoenix experts also could not stay behind, since Xiao Yan had already begun approaching the tree. They too sent their people toward it. Because of the unknown danger, everyone felt a certain fear. Suddenly, light burst out from the tree, wrapped around Xiao Yan's group, and made them vanish. They tried to release their Do Qi, only to find it had disappeared from their bodies. Xiao Yan found himself inside an illusion. Though he had just stepped inside, it felt as if decades had passed. He saw a white world, where surprisingly, he was already a Do Shang saint. Clenching his fist, he felt a power so immense it was indescribable. It seemed as though the world itself could collapse at his will. Is this the power of a saint? Xiao Yan could hardly believe it. He had pursued this strength for so many years. Had he finally attained it? In the illusion, Xiao Yan destroyed cities and living beings with just a flick of his finger. His eyes turned red, filled with bloodlust. Only with great difficulty did he awaken. Xiao Yan admitted, this ancient Bodhisattva tree was indeed extraordinary, capable of creating such a realistic illusion. Moreover, those trapped inside could not even realize it. Although I sought this power my whole life, this is nothing but an illusion. In his hand appeared a bead, the Bodhisattva seed he had obtained earlier. If not for this seed dispelling the illusion from his mind, he would have continued to sink deeper into this false life. He finally understood how those half-saints had turned into puppets. They too had been trapped in illusions by the ancient Bodhisattva tree, eventually losing their souls and becoming dolls. The illusion of the ancient Bodhi tree, even half-saints could not escape it. As a result, they became puppets. Xiao Yan and his group would have suffered the same fate, but the Bodhisattva seed cleared his mind. But what about his companions? Queen Medusa, Gu Suner, and the others. At the moment Xiao Yan activated the Bodhisattva seed, the sky began to distort. Finally, an explosion resounded, and everything around shattered like broken glass. Xiao Yan watched blankly as the illusion faded. He found himself in a space filled with green light. The ancient tree radiated breathtaking life force. It was exactly as described in the scrolls, a towering Bodhisattva tree 100 meters tall, though now it seemed to have shrunk countless times. The tree suddenly trembled, releasing many glowing clusters that floated before Xiao Yan. Within them appeared various scenes. Xiao Yan's eyes focused on them, and inside he saw Gu Suner, Han Yu, Jiu Feng, and the others who had entered the Bodhisattva tree earlier. They were all trapped in their own illusions. Xiao Yan shouted furiously. Heavenly flames surged out from his body. This ancient Bodhisattva tree was far too strange. Its illusion of life was indistinguishable from reality. Judging by the number of half-saints it had already consumed, Xiao Yan's group was clearly not the first to suffer this fate. Then Xiao Yan saw a scene of a mighty figure standing in the air before the tree. Under this aura, even the 100-meter Bodhisattva tree appeared small. A god! Xiao Yan's eyes filled with genuine shock. This aura shook his very soul. Such a feeling, who else could it belong to, if not a Do Di, the legendary realm? Suddenly, this figure began attacking the Bodhisattva tree. From their terrifying clash, the entire sky collapsed. Xiao Yan was stunned, watching the battle within the glowing cluster. He could hardly believe that the Bodhisattva tree had once fought against an expert at the god level. To his surprise, the man was mercilessly struck by a destructive force from beneath the tree. His body and the surrounding region shattered into fragments. That sudden attack had been unleashed by another god, one no weaker than the first. With the combined efforts of the ancient Bodhisattva tree and this mysterious god, the man was utterly destroyed. Tu Do Di. The corners of Xiao Yan's eyes twitched. He had just witnessed the strength of two such experts, beings of legend. Even if they were only images, the aura of that final figure shook his very soul. The scenes within the glowing cluster did not stop after that Do Di's death. Streams of black qi appeared. The refreshing life aura from the Bodhisattva tree turned cold. Xiao Yan was shaken, watching this transformation. It was the exact same aura the tree emitted now. The light shot into Xiao Yan's head with lightning speed. Closing his eyes, he felt a stream of information. He learned the truth of what had really happened to the Bodhisattva tree. Why it had turned into a tree that enslaved experts. We will continue in the next video. If you are interested, give a like and the new episode will be released right away. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and see you next time.